Most people think nutrient-rich food comes from expensive powders, supplements, or carefully packaged superfoods sitting under bright lights in health stores. Meanwhile, some of the most mineral-rich plants quietly grow beside fences, along garden paths, and in corners most people try to clear away. And, strangely enough, many of them were once considered survival food, not luxury food, not trendy food, the kind of plants people relied on because they kept returning, no matter how difficult conditions became. The interesting part is that many of those plants still exist today. Most people just stopped recognizing them because modern gardens often focus on appearance first. Perfect vegetables, clean edges, controlled beds, nothing growing where it shouldn't. But nature doesn't always concentrate nutrients inside the most beautiful plants. Sometimes it hides them inside the most aggressive ones. And once you start paying attention to that, you begin noticing something strange. Many of the plants richest in minerals are exactly the ones modern gardens learn to remove, especially magnesium, because magnesium sits at the center of photosynthesis itself. Without it, plants cannot properly manage energy, growth, or deep green leaf production. And interestingly, many magnesium-rich plants grow with an intensity that almost feels excessive. Fast growth, dark leaves, aggressive spreading, constant return, like nature is trying unusually hard to keep them alive. One of the strongest examples is something most people avoid touching completely: nettles. At first glance, they look more like punishment than food. Tall stems, sharp sting, dense patches spreading beside compost piles and damp corners. Most people brush against them once and spend years trying to get rid of them afterward. But underneath that reputation, nettles are one of the most nutrient-dense plants many gardeners accidentally grow for free. Packed full of magnesium, iron, calcium, and even surprising amounts of protein. Some survival gardeners valued nettles more than delicate, cultivated greens simply because they returned so aggressively year after year. And once established, they become almost impossible to stop completely, which suddenly feels much less annoying once you realize how much nutrition the plant is quietly producing. One strange thing about nettles is how dramatically they change once harvested. The sting completely disappears after cooking or drying. That surprises almost everyone the first time they experience it. The leaves soften, the smell changes, and the plant that felt almost hostile in the garden suddenly becomes rich, earthy, and deeply green tasting. Nettle tea especially feels different from most herbal teas people buy commercially. Darker, almost mineral-like. Some people dry the leaves for tea. Others cook young nettles into soups, blend them into garden smoothies, or even use them to make powerful compost teas for soil health. And oddly enough, nettles often grow best exactly where biological activity is already high. Near compost, moist soil, rain runoff, rich organic matter. It's almost like the plant itself is searching for living systems underground. But nettles are only one part of this hidden nutrient world, because some of the most mineral-rich plants don't even look important enough to notice. Purslane is one of the strangest examples. Most people pull it out without hesitation. Small, succulent leaves, low, spreading stems, growing through cracks, dry beds, and neglected soil during the hottest weeks of summer. But purslane quietly contains magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, and impressive nutrient density for a plant that survives almost effortlessly. And unlike delicate leafy greens, purslane seems to thrive exactly when conditions become harsh. Extreme heat, dry soil, compacted ground, while other plants struggle. Purslane often spreads even faster. That resilience is part of what makes it so fascinating. The leaves hold moisture naturally, which gives the plant its slightly crunchy texture. Fresh purslane almost tastes surprising the first time you eat it. Cool, lemony, almost refreshing in hot weather. Some people mix it into salads. Others add it to sandwiches or lightly cook it into stir-fries. And once gardeners recognize it, many stop pulling it out entirely, because suddenly the weed growing for free during extreme heat becomes one of the most resilient edible plants in the entire garden, which reveals something interesting about nature. Many of the plants richest in nutrients were never designed to be delicate. They were designed to survive. And maybe that explains why modern gardens often overlook them, because survival plants rarely look controlled. Lamb's quarters are another example. Most people walk past without thinking twice. At first, they don't look special at all. Soft, dusty green leaves, tall, wild stems, fast, chaotic growth near disturbed soil. But long before modern spinach became common, many people relied on lamb's quarters as an important food source. And once you understand how aggressively it grows, that suddenly makes perfect sense. Because the plant produces huge amounts of edible greens with surprisingly little effort. Rich in magnesium, calcium, protein, and other minerals, lamb's quarters behave almost like an ancient food system, quietly hiding inside modern gardens. Some gardeners describe the flavor as a richer, earthier version of spinach. The younger leaves stay soft and tender. Larger leaves cook down beautifully into soups, mixed greens, or sautés. And once the plant begins reseeding itself, it often returns year after year with almost no help at all. That's something many people start noticing with these forgotten plants. Nature keeps trying to bring them back, not because they're weak, but because they're incredibly efficient. And maybe that's the real discovery hidden underneath all of this. Modern gardens often spend enormous energy protecting fragile plants, while aggressively removing the ones naturally packed with minerals, resilience, and survival potential. Because once you start looking closely, these forgotten plants are doing something remarkable. Growing fast, returning constantly, handling stress, pulling nutrients from deep in the soil, producing huge amounts of edible material almost automatically. And the healthier the underground system becomes, the stronger these plants often become too. Rich compost, living soil, stable moisture, microbial activity. Many gardeners notice the leaves becoming darker, larger, and more vigorous once the soil underneath becomes biologically active again. Especially with compost and mulch systems feeding life underground continuously. Because in the end, these plants are not thriving because humans perfected them. They thrive because nature already did. Nettles returning beside compost piles, purslane surviving extreme summer heat, lamb's quarters reseeding themselves aggressively year after year, quietly growing, quietly rebuilding, quietly producing nutrition almost everywhere people stop trying to control everything perfectly. And maybe that's why these forgotten plants feel so important right now. Because they remind us of something modern gardening sometimes forgets. Nature produces abundance far more aggressively than most people realize, especially near the edges of the garden, where almost nobody is paying attention.